Here's what's happening right now. Hallsville is mourning the death of one of its middle school students tonight. No official cause of death has been released, but the student's mom is calling it a suicide partially due to bullying. Good evening, everyone. I'm Jim Reek.
And I'm Brittany Pieper. This comes just weeks after a coroner's inquest in Glasgow determined a teen's suicide was caused by bullying. KOMU8's Lauren Barnes has been in touch with the mother and is live in Hallsville with the latest.
Well, Brittany, Jim, I have to tell you, it looks just like any other night here at the Hallsville Middle School. There is no sign of this tragic event having taken place just yesterday. Now, the school district did acknowledge their student's death in a statement released earlier today, saying, quote, Hallsville School District is saddened to learn of the death of one of our middle school students. We have been in contact with the family and extend our deepest sympathies. The mom told me earlier today she believes bullying that happened right here on these school grounds could have caused her daughter to take her life. Now, in the same statement earlier, the school says, quote, as in all cases involving a death, the Boone County Sheriff's Department is conducting an investigation and will provide more information as it becomes available. The district is cooperating fully in the investigation. Now, I'm taking a look into just how widespread of an issue bullying is here in our mid-Missouri schools, and I'll have more details on that as well as this particular story to come. Live in Hallsville tonight, Lauren Barnes, KOMU8 News.
Who will fill a southern Boone County school board seat is still up in the air. Last night, the two candidates tied. KOMU8's Mackenzie Huck tells us the unique way of breaking the tie.
It may all come down to drawing names out of a hat. The Southern Boone County School District had 4 candidates running for 3 school board seats. 2 candidates tied for third. George Carney and Price Nichols each had 329 votes. If the candidates both decline a runoff election, they'll have to draw a name. Superintendent Chris Felmley said he wishes he could give every candidate a seat.
I would love the idea of just pulling up an extra chair to the table, especially for somebody who wants to stay involved with the school district. But by statute, that's not allowed.
All 4 candidates were within 1% of each other. Now, the other 2 school board seats will be held by Dawn Sapp and Kevin Shupp. Reporting live in Ashland, Mackenzie Huck, KOMU8 News.
Jefferson City residents voted to build a second public high school last night. The timeline for the opening the doors is already in motion. Superintendent Larry Lithicum says the plan is to open in the fall of 2019. He added it's safe to say Lewis and Clark students will attend the current high school, while Thomas Jefferson students will attend the new high school. The boundary lines are nearly set but subject to change. The tax rate is also nearly final, with $1.10 per taxpayer for building and operating the schools. Those funds will be split with a gradual tax leading up to 2019's opening. Lithicum says this allows for immediate results without unnecessary taxation.
But there'll be some immediate on there as we move forward, but obviously the full operation of the second high school will not be in effect here until the fall of 19. So we're not going to be, taxing folks here. It'll be a phase-in approach as we lead up to that.
Lithicum did not comment on when boundary lines would be finalized, but invited the community to discuss that at an upcoming tax rate board meeting in August.
The MU Research Reactor is working toward improving the way doctors screen for and treat disease with 2 major milestones this week. KOMU8's Ben Burks here in the studio with how these milestones will impact medicine in mid-Missouri, the U.S., and around the world.
Perhaps the biggest development coming recently from the Research Center was the license to produce the isotope molybdenum-99, which is a key factor in SPECT scans, which look at the heart and its ability to pump blood. The Research Reactor also struck a deal to supply a French medical company with the isotope lutetium-177. That's an active ingredient in Lutathera, a potential treatment that has shown promise in treating certain forms of pancreatic cancer.
Typically, if you get that diagnosis, you have a 4 to 6 month life expectancy, and that's all. With this new drug in the clinical trials, they just wrapped up clinical trials, the life expectancy at the end of the clinical trials was still about 18 months and counting. Can't tell you how long the patients are going to live because they're still living.
These deals put the Research Reactor in exclusive company, including being the only lutetium-177 supplier in the U.S. If the license is approved, the reactor would become the only molybdenum-99 supplier in North America. In the studio, Ben Burke, KOMU8 News.
More than 7% of Missouri adults live with a form of cancer besides skin cancer. That's according to the Missouri Department of Health. While fighting cancer takes top priority, taking care of yourself is also important. Today, the Ellis Fischel Cancer Center hosted a seminar highlighting wellness and cancer rehabilitation. A physical therapist said cancer can be compared to a marathon and rehab is like athletic training.
We think that if you're going to be going through a marathon, you better train like you're going through a marathon. And we're going to put them through everything we know that they need to make sure they're there at the optimal health to get through this arduous journey, which it is.
He says the best way to optimize cancer rehabilitation is the same way doctors tell everyone to stay healthy, with a balanced diet and regular exercise.
We saw a lot of rain move through today. Kenton says the rest of the week looks pretty dry, though, so let's check in with him. Sunshine, finally.
Yeah, Brittany, thank you very much. We just got to get rid of this rain that you can see on Live Drop the Rate First Alert radar. A lot of this just falling down to some drizzle and some sprinkles, not even a lot of light rain at this point. But once that exits the region here a little bit later on this evening, we are going to be seeing some clearer skies for our day on Thursday. Sunshine returning here tomorrow. 42 degrees right now, though, in Columbia, 43 in Fulton in Mexico and Paris, 42 in Moberly, and we're actually up to about the highest temperature here, about 46 in Jefferson City and over in Sedalia as well. Still a bit breezy, winds constantly sustained from the north of really about 15 to 20 miles an hour for all of us. We are still having gusts up to 30 miles an hour, including in areas Columbia and especially areas from Columbia into the east, wind gusts up to 30 miles per hour. Meanwhile, the next couple days, the sunshine comes out and we're going to see a warming trend start. We're at 56 here tomorrow. Still breezy, gusts up to 30 miles an hour there. We're at 60 on Friday with a lot of sunshine, seasonal temperatures, but then we jump up into the 70s for this weekend. And we do have another chance for rain in the forecast. I'll detail everything you should know coming up after the break.
After years of opposition, Missouri Senator Rob Schaaf has changed his stance on a statewide prescription drug monitoring program, or PDMP. Last night, he announced he now supports the program, which would require physicians to log specific controlled substances prescribed to patients in a database. Flagged medications are drugs with high street value and abuse potential, like Xanax, Adderall, and opioids. Schaaf says a PDMP would only be successful if it's enforced.
If we're going to have it, demand that it be effective. And the only way a program like this can be effective is if doctors actually use it.
Schaaf says he thinks Missouri will pass a PDMP this legislative session. People in Missouri could get immunity for small drug possession charges when seeking medical assistance. That would be if a House bill given initial approval today passes into law. Under the bill, people could not be penalized for possessing small amounts of drugs if they were seeking medical treatment for an overdose. Supporters say it will save lives. The bill's few opponents say charging people and sending them to drug court would be more effective.
Missouri is one of 18 states without toll roads. One group is trying to keep it that way. It filed a ballot initiative to let voters decide if the state should add toll roads. The House struck down an amendment yesterday that would have banned the use of state money for toll roads. MoDOT has looked at the possibility of using tolls to rebuild I-70. A Ford recall on thousands of cars, vans, and SUVs is currently being reviewed after concerns about vehicles catching on fire. They can run low on coolant and potentially overheat, causing the fire. The company knows about 29 such fires and says it will install a sensor to alert drivers when coolant is low. The recall covers more than 230,000 vehicles in North America, including models of the Fusion, Escape, Fiesta, and Transit vans.
The Columbia City Council approved a new fund that will help the Parks and Recreation Department. To jumpstart the fund, an anonymous Columbia business owner donated $25,000. The money will be used for Parks and Recreation programs and park upkeep. Director Mike Griggs says the funding will be a big help in, among other things, continuing Parks and Rec programs.
For the last 10 years, we've been operating less and less every year. We've been with the park sales tax has been completely absorbed in our operating budget, and so there's really nowhere else for us to go. So we really need this alternate source so that we can continue with some of these things that citizens expect.
The department hopes to have the fund established by this summer. Coming up, a Senate battle for the ages and the historic change that could bring it to an end.
Plus, more than 2 years after the unrest in Ferguson, a source of stability remains in office.